Apologies in advance, this story gets a little depressing by the end, but once upon a time, not so long ago, I was prepping for a lecture in my tech ethics class about companion chatbots, and I was poking around Google Scholar looking for recently published papers. So I came across this paper indexed by Google Scholar and started reading it. It seemed helpful. Not a great paper, but it's also essentially a literature review, which is great because it means that I can just check out what it's citing. I mean, actually, the papers cited here are just the kind of research that I was looking for. Here's a finding that AI companionship could inadvertently contribute to social withdrawal. So let's check out Brown and Taylor 2021. Here we go, published in the Journal of Social Psychology. Let's find it. We'll try Google Scholar first. Let's pause for a second, and I want you to guess what I found. So if you guessed that paper does not seem to exist, you would be correct. In fact, if you guessed none of these papers seem to exist, you would also be correct. And this wasn't just me checking Google Scholar. I also went to my library database, checked there, went to the Journal of Social Psychology archives and looked for the volume and the issue number. I did this for 3 or 4 references in the paper, same outcome. And of course, the next thing I did was Google the title of the journal this paper was published in, and was extremely unsurprised to find it on multiple lists of predatory journals. Now, do I know with certainty that the reason this published paper has fabricated citations is because someone used a large language model to write it? Of course, I do not know that with certainty. However, I think it's very likely, but then it gets worse. Because at some point, I also just Googled the titles of the papers to make sure that there weren't any that were, I don't know, unpublished in a preprint archive somewhere. And Google AI overview totally just fabricated findings, takeaways from one of these made up papers based on the made up title. Forgive my anthropomorphizing, but kept the con going, as one might say. Now, there are a lot of lessons from this story, but one thing I think it illustrates is that our state of sort of information disorder right now isn't just about deep fakes or about people blindly trusting the things that ChatGPT tells them. It's also about ways that language models are poisoning the entire information ecosystem. Signals from fake things, making new fake things. The solution to our current state of information disorder can't just be never trust a chatbot. It's also always evaluate the source of information. And no, my example is not even all about AI. It's also about predatory journals. But this is just one example of many of how generative AI is poisoning components of the scientific information ecosystem. And also, this is just one example that I personally happen to accidentally stumble upon.